Hey everybody, it's Tim here again. I'm going to give you an update on the Henry J. Got windows in it. I'm going to walk you around a little bit and show you what I got going on, and then I'm going to show you how I put windows in, how I fit them into the car. It's not as hard as you might think to do a nice job. It's easy to do a bad job, but it's not as hard as you think to do a good job. So what I'm going to do is walk around real quick and show you what I got going on and show you how I do it. Here you go. Here's the car. You can see the front windows in, side windows. The doors, of course, I showed you that. Side windows are fit. Back windows fit. It's ready for final installation. I usually go inside and I'll draw a marker on the inside of the body where the fiberglass is. And I'll open up the door and show you that quick. Like on the inside right there, I'll draw a line around there with a marker and pull the window back out, and I'll cut that with a razor knife and paint that edge either black or silver, whatever the customer wants. This car here will probably be black, so I'm going to set you up here in my temporary tripod. Now, before I do that, here I'm going to talk about the tools I use to do this, okay? Here you go. Lexan. Cut out the saber saw with a wood blade, okay? I usually cut everything 3/8 to a 1/2 inch bigger, and then I sand it. I have a 4.5 inch sander with an 80 grit disc, and I try to use a pretty sharp disc, and that's how I fit this stuff. I'm going to draw some lines and show you. This is already done, but I'm going to try to give you a good idea how I do this. Of course, tape measure. This is a pair of dividers or scribes that I made, big pair of scribes that holds a marker. Of course, marker, I use like a silver streak style pencil and the carpenter scribe that I talked to you before about. Then I start on the car, and I'll use a piece of cardboard. I'll pull one of these out quick and make a pattern. Basically, I just stuck a piece of cardboard on the car. We'll go over here. I stuck this piece of cardboard on the car, held it on there, and then I drew a line on the inside where my opening was, and then I added to that so that it would fit on the car with plenty to spare, okay? And then from there I fit it in. I did that for the side windows. In the back window, the front window, I had the pattern out of Rory's car, so I just drew around it and cut it out. As you can see, this one here, it has a bend in the middle, like right there. You can see the bend. I do that on my sheet metal brake. You can bend Lexan. You can't bend plexiglass, okay? So I get the piece cut out, okay? Like I say, 1/2 inch bigger all the way around, and the first thing I fit was the bottom, and that's pretty simple. I'm gonna, like I say, now I'm gonna clamp you on the tripod, see how this works. Usually I carry this stupid thing around, but we're gonna try this and see what happens. Sorry about that. Here we go. We'll get you pointed the right direction. There's the windshield. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you, and we'll start on the bottom. What I do with the windshield sitting in a hole, we don't want to stay there. There she goes. I think we got her now. I've already cut this out with the saber saw, but of course it's not going to be straight. So what I do, I set the window in here. It won't fit over the edges, but it'll fit here down on the base of the cowl. So what I do is I take my marker and I just draw a line on the bottom just like that. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to look and see. Yeah, I'll hold it up. Draw that black marker line right there on there, and then I sand it with that sander to that line, okay? Then I make the I make the bottom fit. We'll get out here where you can see again now, okay? I sand it. She fits the cowl. Okay, I got that line where I like it, and it's, like I say, it's overlapping on the sides and the top. The next thing I do is fit the sides. I'm cutting. How I do that, that's pretty simple too. I'm going to zoom in on that so you can see this. Hopefully this will get you going right here, okay? What you'll have, I'm going to set my stuff down. This window will lap over the outside right here on this edge, okay? It'll be fitting down here in the bottom, but it'll be lapping over just like this onto the side of the car on the A-pillar. See if I can get you like a simulation. Okay, you can see that. Then what I do is I take my silver pencil and I make a mark right here, and I make a mark right here. Okay, then I put a line like this. Okay, then I take my marker and I put a mark here. Those are like height reference marks. Then what I do is I slide this over and I measure from where my window's going to hit in the bottom to that silver line. And on this one, it's 3/8 of an inch. So I go here where my line is. I measure 3/8. Okay? Measure up here. I'm the same. I'm 3/8 of an inch. So I measure from the edge of the Lexan the same way, 3/8. Then what I do is I take my divider and I set my divider so it's where I want it to go, where I want the window to go on the bottom, and I line it up with that mark, and then I just draw a line just like this. You can all see that? Then what I'll do is I will sand that to that line. I mean, if it's a lot like that, if it's 3/8 of an inch, I'll probably, you know, cut some of it off with a saber saw, and then finish sand it with that sander. And then I always undercut the backside of the Lexan a little bit to fit down on those radiuses, because there's a, like down in this edge here, there's a curve there, so you want the glass to be, or the Lexan to be chamfered on the back a little bit. Once I get that where I want it, also paying attention to where I'm at in the center, then I put that window back in there, and I repeat the process for that side of the car as well. I do the same thing over there. I put my marks, my silver marks on there, measure how far I need to cut off, and I'll put a divider line on there. Now, one thing you got to remember, okay? And I'll try to show you that too. We'll get back on this side. You get over here, say this line's 3/8 and this one's 1/4, okay? What you need to do is set your divider so that it hits both marks equally. So if you've got to take more off one side or the other, you may want to shim your Lexan, or like top or bottom, you may want to shim your Lexan up on that side or this corner, so that when you put your divider on there, it touches those reference marks equally. Because if you don't do that, if you just draw a line, it's going to end up being 1/8 of an inch too long or 1/8 of an inch too short. You want to make sure that when you do this, that it draws the line where you want it. Okay, so you've got that done. You've got the other side done. Then I do the same thing on the top. And I don't know, I'm going to try to zoom in and, well, I'm going to try to show you that mark. Hopefully you can see this. Like when I did this one, there's a silver mark right there. It's right on the edge right there. You can barely see that line right there. What I did there is the same thing. I measured from my line down to the edge. I made that reference mark on the window on both sides and in the middle. I did it there. I'll try to get you back out here. I did it there, I did it in the middle, and I did it over there. And then I just slid my Lexan down a little bit in this channel, slid it down and taped it, and then I drew that line across the top the same way. Now when I'm doing that, I always leave these corners a little bit wide so I can lay it down in there and draw them out a little bit at a time and get them to fit where I want them. And I don't fit this stuff perfectly tight. Maybe I can show you on this side window. You can see here. Yeah, there you go. See that little gap in there? It's probably light 1/16 of an inch all the way around. Because the Lexan expands at different rates than the body panels. So I tried to give it a little bit of room to expand so the Lexan's not buckling or anything else. Then when I'm done, like I'll bolt the windows in. I use like a 832 button-headed screw in each one of these holes. Bolt it all together and don't tighten it down super tight. You just snug them. Then I'll go along this edge. I'll mask right here with masking tape, and I'll mask right here with masking tape on this body edge, and I'll glue that with clear silicone to fill the crack. That'll keep water from running in the car. Like I say, 832 button-headed screws hold it in. And if you'll notice on this, I've got several lines drawn on it, but these are about a 3-inch space. I start in the middle, like I've got a metal brace up inside the car in the middle, and I start like 1.5 inches off the center of the window and come all the way around here, and I got to this one, and then I did the same thing here. I measured over 1.5 inches and went 3 inches around this way. Now if you find that you're too tight or too loose in these corners, you know, you can go to 2 7/8 or 3 1/8, whatever it takes just to make the spacing look equally. But I typically do that on all my windows, about a 3-inch spacing and my tin work. So easy to cut. Like I say, Lexan cuts like wood, and it sands easy too, so it's not hard to do. Not hard to do. Like these windows here, I have I cut a 3/4 inch lip in the body, so I measured in from the edge of the window 3/8 of an inch. And of course I've got them all held in with Clecos while I'm fitting it. And now what I'll do is I'll go back through and I'll drill them all out 3/16 of an inch, so that 832 screw will go in there. And then I use a nylon nut on the inside. So that's Lexan Windows 101. I don't know if I can make it any easier for you than that. I mean, what I'll do is set up, like the next one I'll do, I'll probably set up the camera and actually just fit it. So I've told you before, I don't edit this stuff. I'm trying to learn as I go. And like I say, I think if I set it up on a tripod, get me a better tripod. This one I got here is basically a piece of angle iron welded on a piece of flat stock that's sitting on the floor. I'll get something better, and then I can sort of time lapse this stuff and or like just show you how I do it. At least fitting in a side window or something like that. But I do that in the sides, I do that the front window, and a lot of them, like this car here, you'll see it's got a bit of a step here. A lot of them I will flush mount them. I buy rubber from a place down in Florida called Rubber and Accessories. that will get me to fit this corner. But the problem with this car is that body line there is so round that it would be extremely difficult. There'd still be a huge gap there. I didn't want that, so I just bolted it down in the flange and let her eat. So the side windows, they're set up for Lexan. You know, they're flushed out so I could bolt Lexan in, and like the body and that are flush. So that's super nice there. So I thought I'd give you a heads up there, let you see what was going on. I've got the whole front ends fit and finished. I mounted the dashboard, I remounted that, welded the holes in that, Lexan done. So I mean, if you can see over there in the table, I started doing wheel tubs. I've got a video on that, so I won't share that stuff, but I may share some of the tin work stuff with you. Anywho, that's where we're at on this thing. Windows fit. So I've not touched Jerry's car, it's sitting back there. I got to get the body off, and right now my forklift's in the way. So I got to get, my buddy Kenny's coming over to take care of the spindle on my forklift for me. He's my savior. He really takes care of me when I get in a jam. Kenny and I, we've been lifelong friends, and I'm the fabricator and he's the machinist, so we sort of help each other when we can. And Ronnie's kicking butt on the 50. I think I'll try to show you that quick. He's working on rebuilding this corner. As you can see there, this stuff was all rotten out. So we're having to rebuild wheel lips and corners and cut up a 2-door quarter panel patch to fix this round hole here, but that's going pretty good. Like I say, we're getting it done. As you can see, forklift up there in the way. Haven't touched my car, no time. Anyways, thanks for watching. Keep me in mind. I'll talk to you soon.